Let's go. Today for a different kind of video. In the description of my last video I mentioned that I'd show you in a new video the algorithm of how to approximate pretty much any fraction on the side of the paper by just folding the corners to the last pinches that you've made. Now, how did I find those algorithms? Like, how did I find out how to fold the corners back and forth so that I would get to my fraction? Well, let's just go through what I used to prepare. Firstly, I'm folding the corners in half, like at the corners, of course. I'm folding the parts of the paper in half. So when I do that, I create fractions, and their denominators are always powers of 2, because I'm always halving. So let's go through the powers of 0.5, of 1/2. Oops, 1/2. There it is. 1/2 is obviously just 0.5. I'm using a comma here because I'm German. Don't pay attention to that. That's 0.5. And next one, 1/4. Well, that's 0.25. Next one, 1/8. That's 0.125. Oops. Next one, a 16th. And that's 0.0625. Next one, a 32nd. That's weird to say. Is 0.03. And let me check, 125, isn't it? There it is. And one more, a 64th. May the 64th be with you. 0.015 and 625 again. These are nice to calculate. So this is just going to be my little cheat sheet. I'm going to look onto this. And why am I not doing any more of these? Well, usually these are enough. Because here we're already at 0.1, so that's 1%. But to be sure, okay, let's do one more. Just one last one. 128th, if I'm not mistaken. And that's 0.00. Half of 15 is almost 8, so that's like 7. Then half of 16 is in fact 8, and half of 25 is 125. There we go. So with these, let's just get these nice and on top of each other. We can just calculate all kinds of fractions. Now, the first number that I wanted to approximate was 21.75%, so 0.2175. I want this number, but out of these fractions, out of adding them. So let's check which ones do I need to add to get to this number. I'm going to start with an 1/8, so 0.125. To that, I'm adding, well, the next one, a 16th, 0.0625. Together, that makes 0.1875, right? Yeah. So let's just remember that. I did this plus this. And next, I'm just adding a 32nd as well to get closer to my number, right? So if this was too big, like if I would completely overshoot, I will just use the next one to get closer. But this one, we'll see, is a pretty good one. So we're adding these two now. And I'm just going to do that in my head. That makes 21875, right? Yeah. And that is pretty close. Like we're off by 0.1% and a bit. So that's close enough for any kind of folding. So we're done with finding the number by adding these fractions that approximates this. Now that I have the number in decimal, I want to know what's this fraction actually. Now I'm just going to check. Okay, that's an eighth. Oops. And that's a 16th. And that's a 32nd. Now that's 2 30-seconds. And that's 4 30-seconds. So these make 4, 6, 7 30-seconds. So this is almost 7 30-seconds. That's my approximation. I sadly can't make this symbol here. Let's just use this one. Almost 7 30-seconds. And now I want to find out how do I fold this with these corners. Now let's just get rid of these. We don't need those anymore. Now I'm gonna imagine how I'm gonna split my paper. At the bottom, I want 7 parts. And on top, I want the rest, which is going to be 25 parts. Now, if I fold a part of the paper in half to get to 7, then that's going to have then 14 parts before I folded it in half. And the other side is just going to have been 7 less. Well, 25 minus 7, that's 18. And then again, which one did I fold in half to get here? Well, the one that came from 14, the smaller one. It's always the smaller one. Double that is 28. Subtract 14 from here, and we get 4. Oops, there we go. Next, obviously, doubling the 4. There we go. Used to be 8 parts. Subtract 4. Oops, 24. Doubling the 8. Gonna have them 16 parts. Subtracting 8 from 24. That's 16. And there we go. This is, oops, the double 16 here. It's just 1/2. So that's just folding it in half the first time. And that's always going to be the same. Doesn't matter which corner you choose, you're always going to end up with 1/2. Next, I folded the top part in half. Then I folded the top part in half again. Then I folded the bottom part in half, and then I folded the bottom part in half again. So this backwards is my algorithm to fold this fraction. Now let's just do that again for the other number that I had to approximate, because maybe this wasn't quite easy to understand yet. I'm going to try to be more clear in this one. So the other number I wanted was 67.7%, so 0.677. Now first, what do I have to add to get there? I have to add 0.5. And what else? 0.25, that's a bit too much. Like that will go to 7.5. That's way larger, so let's go with 125. So adding half and an eighth. Now I'm at 625. Let's just keep track down here. 0.625. And that's already quite close. If I add a 32nd, that's gonna be 6, 5. Yeah, that works out. So if I did a 16th, I would overshoot a little bit again. So let's just go with the 32nd next. 0.03125. What does that make? Well, we add 3125 to this, so that's 5625. Getting closer, ever closer. Next, well, a 64th. That's still small enough. 0.015625. Getting a bit long here. So adding our 1, 5 here, 56 plus 15, that should be 71. And 25 plus 625, well, that is just 875. And yeah, now I'm running out of space. Let's just a bit closer to here. And I'm just going to convert these into fractions. That's a half. That's an eighth. That's a 32nd. Oh god, my English today. Holy shit. And that's a 64th. And we can still add 128th to this. And, well, I have the number here. I'm just gonna add that in my head. So that makes a 9. Well, that's 8 plus 8 is 16. And that's 8. And that's 75, right? All right. I overshot a little bit again, but again, it's just the last digit down here. It's not that much. So this is a pretty good approximation. What fraction does this make? Well, these are 2 128ths. These are 4 128ths. And these are 16 128ths. Oops, we're getting down to dangerous territory. And lastly, this, well, half of 128 is 64 128ths. There we go. Now, add all of these together. 64 plus 16, well, that's easy, that's 80. Plus 4, well, that's 84. Let's delete this one. And plus 3, well, that's 87. So that's my approximation for this number. And now, well, how do I fold this? Using the same strategy as before, I'm saying I want 87 parts of the paper to be on the bottom and the rest on top. Well, that's, let me calculate that, 41. Man, that took a while. So, next again, I'm thinking about last time I folded something in half to get 41. Because I can't have folded something in half and gotten 87, you know, that's the bigger one. So, it must have been 82 before. And the rest, well, that's just this, minus 41. That's 46. Then again, doubling the smaller number tells me what I had to fold in half before. So that's 92. And the rest, well, it was 46 less. Let me look at my little cheat sheet here because I hate calculating things again. Should have been 36. then of course 36 is a smaller number. So that was 72 before. And this one, well, minus 36, that's 56. Then before that, I had to double this. Well, I had to half 112. And this minus 56, let's do that here, 16. Next, doubling the 16, that's 32. This minus 16, that's 96. Then again, doubling the 32, that's 64. And minus 32, you guessed it, that's 64. And here we go. First I fold it in half. Whoop. Get 64 on the top, 64 on the bottom. Then I fold the top part in half. Then I fold the top part in half again. Then I fold the bottom part in half. Then the top part, then the bottom part, then the top part. And there is my algorithm to approximate this number. And you can just do that with any number you like. 1/28th, 1/128th is always going to be accurate enough, well, let's say almost always, to get to like the last digit here. At least in percent it's going to be accurate. If you want to be even more accurate, of course, you can add a 256th and do it with that. But usually that's a bit overkill. So yeah, that's the algorithm I used. And with that, have fun folding. Until next time.